Barring a catastrophic failure, a wayward back marker, or an act of God, Grant Riddall should be able to wrap up the Procar Championship tonight. But first, he has to successfully navigate the unforgiving sand dunes of Zandvoort 28 times. Good evening, everybody. I am Jason White, and welcome to round 7 of the 1980 Procar Series, and this comes from Zandvoort in the Netherlands. And I'm joined in the booth, or rather not in the booth, but via automobile, by Jonatan Acerclinth. Jonathan, how are you?
Struggling a little bit at the moment out on track, but otherwise I'm pretty good.
Yeah, we're getting a slight echo from your car, but you soldier on ahead because, oh my goodness, look out, there's a car in front of you there, upside down.
Not the first time.
No, and probably won't be the last. We'll check back in with you in just a moment. So, as I mentioned, we are at Zandvoort. And here is a look at the track map. The version that we're going to be using is 2.605 miles around, or a little over 4 kilometers. We're going to be going for 28 laps today, or a little under 73 miles. And as I mentioned in the opening, there's a very high probability that Grant Riddall is going to wrap up his Procar Championship today. Given that he is so far out in front, let's take a look at the points. 112 points Grant has racked up already. Thiago is a distant second with 69. David Jakes has 52. Jakob Fredriksson 36, and Peter Hlapik 30. So it's going to be a very unlikely scenario that we'll see Grant unseated today. If he can put some basic points on the board, if not win, he will very likely be the champion. But we'll keep track of that point situation for you as the day unfolds. 20 points for a win, 15 for second, 12 for third, and 10 and on down the line. Reminding you also of the car specs that we have for these cars. Dual overhead cam inline 6s, 470 horsepower, box section steel frame, fiberglass. And these cars are moving relatively quickly around Zandvoort, to say the least. So let's go for a flying lap now with Jonatan Acerclinth as he's approaching the start-finish line. Oh, goodness. Well, that's the end of qualifying, so I'm afraid we're going to have to wait until after we get the... well, maybe he can continue here. Okay, he comes out of Tarzan Corner, and now through this left-right behind the pits, now heading into the second hairpin, the Hugenholzbosch, named for the man who designed the track, now accelerating up this short hill and down into this valley with sand dunes on both sides. Very difficult to maintain control of the car. You'll see a lot of cars on the very edge of adhesion today. So if as strong as Grant Riddall is in these cars, it's not going to be a walk in the park for him today. He's going to have to be very, very careful. But on the other hand, it's nice because Grant really doesn't have a lot of concerns going into this race. As long as he finishes okay, he should be hoisting the hardware later on. This is the Tunnel Oos section. Now we head back to the left. And this is the final corner, the long sweeping right-hander. And that is one flying lap of Zandvoort. It goes by very quickly. So we'll see how long this... oh, well, there goes... we've moved now into the warm-up session, it appears. So I guess now we're into the warm-up session, Jonathan.
Yeah, it would seem so. Hopefully my sound will be better now.
Yeah, it does sound better now, thank you. So you've had a little bit of time on track. What do you think is going to be your strategy for today?
Surviving. Simple as that. The track is very tricky with these cars compared to the 1971 F1s we drove here. last year. The M1s is a bit heavy and doesn't quite have the same suspension ability, so I've noticed many others along with me scraping the bottoms of our cars along the road as we drive around. So
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
It's sure to be tricky.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll let you go ahead and get into the warm-up session so you at least have some practice on full tanks.
I've been driving on fulls during qualifying as well. So.
Oh.
But
well,
thank you anyway.
All right. Well, we'll be checking in with you during the race for sure, since we are Sans normal color commentator today. Alberto is actually going to be driving today, so.
To me, he doesn't like to talk and drive.
No, and neither do I. So we're lucky that Jonathan's gracious enough to do that. So we appreciate that very much. So we're going into the warm-up session now, and seeing as we don't have a color commentator for banter, I'm not going to try to be entertaining for you for the next 9 minutes straight. So while we're waiting for the warm-up to conclude, we'll have a nice word from Bavarian Motorworks on the 6-cylinder engine that graces both these cars and their CSI.
Some ideas are too good for one purpose only. And this is why we also have a modified version of the M1 3.5-litre 4-valve power unit in the new BMW 635 CSI. As a result of its racing heritage, this power unit differs fundamentally from the existing BMW coupe engines. An over-proportional increase in power has thus been achieved by a relatively small increase in engine displacement. The new 3.5-litre power unit guarantees superior power at low engine speeds, while it nevertheless excels by its cultivated smoothness and turbine-like running characteristics. This considerable increase in performance becomes noticeable from the very minute you take the wheel. The maximum power output of 160 din kilowatt or 218 din horsepower is available at just 5,200 RPM. And thanks to the improved torque curve, the maximum torque of 310 Nm is developed at a cool 4,000 RPM. These figures make this 6-cylinder BMW power unit superior even to comparable 8-cylinder engines. To get this power and performance onto the road more effectively, the 5-speed gearbox has been adapted to provide optimum torque conversion rates. Similarly, all other parts and components influencing the car's roadability have been designed to match the particular performance and the new different characteristics of this engine gearbox unit. The springs and shock absorbers of the BMW 635 CSI are harder but still offer full comfort. The car has reinforced stabilizer bars and 6.5 instead of 6-inch wheel rims. This guarantees a larger road tyre contact area. The result, a considerable improvement in road contact under all conditions. Better directional stability and a reduced body tilt angle in bends, the ingredients that go into higher cornering speeds. This considerable improvement of vehicle stability up to the utmost limits means in its overall effect an extremely high standard of active safety. Aerodynamic improvements have been introduced to optimize chassis performance. The spoilers reduce the average uplift by 15%, and this means maximum engine power effectiveness and perfect directional stability. In all, this system of improved performance, supreme torque, chassis modifications and aerodynamic aids guarantees a standard of performance reminiscent of racing and not of production cars. The BMW 635 CSI is available in 3 different colors. Henna Red, Graphite and Polaris. All the other coupe colours are available if the car is ordered without the spoilers. The new BMW Coupe makes the typical BMW feeling of sheer driving pleasure still more attractive and opens up new dimensions in coupe motoring. Together with the BMW M1, the 635 CSI gives new strength to the BMW sporty car concept, on the racetrack and on normal roads.
I'll take the black one. All right, so we're continuing to watch the cars on their warm-up laps. Ray Radal is in your picture right now, and his son, well, hopefully will be, for him, he's thinking probably that his son's going to be champion at the end of the day. We'll see what happens.
Sure, he's one of the quickest drivers as well, so would be
Yes, he is.
very well deserved indeed.
We're riding on board now with Ray. Coming through the final corner here. About 4 minutes and change to go before the start of this race. 28 laps around Zandvoort. I'd like to welcome all of you who are watching our broadcast on YouTube. HSO has undertaken some broadcast improvements since last time. We have new software running our broadcast today, a new microphone setup. So hopefully you can hear the difference. And even if you can't, that's okay too. We're glad to have you with us, and hope that we'll be providing you some exciting action on this Sunday afternoon. Also, for those who observe, a happy Easter to you around the world. Oh my goodness, Ray is well. He just managed to recover there, but that's an example of coming out of the Hugenholz Bosch with too much torque.
Of that, and he was under heavy pressure from David Yates, who was
That too.
to his bumper. So that's also where some of the bigger crashes in F1 took place, when people applied a bit too much throttle there. So
Yeah, it's true.
could happen here as well. I know personally, since I took advantage of one of those, that happens. So.
Well, while we have a moment, let's take a look at what's coming up in the next few weeks here at HSO. Next Sunday, the Gran Premio de la Republica Argentina. And like Jonatan was concerned before, I probably butchered that myself. But this is round 3 of the HSO Gold Star Championship. That'll be on Sunday, April 28th. Interestingly, this is going to be 2 heats, 50 laps each. I'm not sure how they plan to score that in Gold Star competition, whether they're going to do separate points for each heat or if they're going to combine them as an aggregate. But either way, that's an exciting race, or a series of races.
I believe it'll be an aggregate between the two.
It'll be an aggregate, okay. All right, well, that's going to be very exciting. Then, the following Sunday, May 5th, we go back Procar racing again, and this time at Hockenheim. This is the makeup race, because we didn't run Hockenheim the first time. Hopefully we'll have all that stuff sorted out. And what month comes after April? Well, I just said. It's the most important month of the year for motorsports, May. And at HSO, you know what that means. Means it's time for the
Procar
big...
racing on the 1st of May.
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't stop myself.
Well, in any case, coming up on the 12th of May, we will carry live coverage of our Indianapolis 500 time trials, Delta Force intro, talk about the milk, history lessons, videos, all manner of stuff. It's going to be great fun. Everybody's guaranteed 5 minutes of TV time. It's one of our favorite broadcasts of the year. That'll be on May 12th. And don't pay attention to that 2000 there. That's actually probably when the qualifying will start, but we'll probably go in the air earlier than that, maybe 1930 hours or something. So that's a look at what's coming up. Less than a minute to go now, as we see smoke rising from the Tarzan corner. That's going to be a common sight today, I think, Jonatan.
Oh, for sure. It most certainly will. It's a very tricky braking zone, especially On the left you have some brake markers, but they are destructible, so to speak. So if they are destroyed, we could see some very differing braking abilities right through there.
Yeah, that's hopefully that won't happen because a lot of people are depending on the markers to know where to brake.
You are usually told find markers that aren't destructible.
Yes.
But then again, unfortunately, they usually shouldn't be taken down anyway, so hopefully it'll all be fine and we can have some great racing here tonight.
Yeah, hopefully. So that's the end of the warm-up. We're going to be going to the race session very shortly here. I didn't have a look at who had done the fastest lap in qualifying, but we'll know very shortly when we go to the race session. I can probably hazard a guess.
Well, I think it's between Canola and Grant, I think. I believe Yakes was third last time I saw him on track.
So the usual suspects at the front.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to the race session. Tiago has the pole.
I believe Steve Parker, unless I'm mistaken, is fifth, so hopefully he'll have a good race.
Yeah, I'm looking at... Tiago is on the pole, so here we go. Pole position for him. This will make the race interesting. We'll see where Grant lines up. Waiting now for the cars to be released on their warm-up lap, and then it'll be 28 laps of racing around Zandvoort. Cars patiently waiting to be released. And here we go, off on the parade lap. On the pole, Tiago Canola of Brazil in the B&S Fabrications entry number 25. Second, Grant Riddall in the Project 4 entry, and he's looking to wrap up the championship today. We'll see how it goes. Starting third, David Jakes in the Madford Cassani Racing entry. Fourth is Adam Hackman. Very good effort from him in the Jurgensen and Son Racing number 42 car. Fifth, John Team, driving for Team Merzario, number 69. Sixth, Steve Parker in the Canatra GT entry. Hopefully Steve will have some good luck today. He's had a series of really rotten races lately. Seventh, Brian Janik from Detroit, my comrade in arms in the Team Schnitzer entry. Eighth, Ray Riddall, father of the soon-to-be perhaps champion in the GS Tuning Denim entry, number 81. Ninth, David Saber in the other GS Tuning entry car. 10th, Juha Boss in the Pooh Jeans Saber Racing car. Jan Prusa starts 11th for B&S Fabrications. 12th, Dave Miller in the Saber Racing Switzerland entry. 13th, Cesarius Lipinski, also BS Fabrications, or B&S Fabrications. 14th is Peter Hlavik, Scuderia Bisceglie. 15th, Mick Chapman, Team Schnitzer. 16th, Lucas Vidra in the other Merzario entry. 17th is Jason Whitehead, Marco Rensport. 18th, Jan Kowalski in the Schutz Racing entry. 19th, Michael Griffiths, B&S Fabrications. 20th, Philippe Martinelli, Eggenberger Motorsports. 21st, David Yunt, B&S Fabrications. 22nd, Gerard Rion, GS Tuning. 23rd, my usual broadcast partner, Alberto Ibanez. We wish him well today. Team Schnitzer, starting in 23rd. 24th, Francois Remen, Olimpo Motorsport. 25th, Jonatan Acerclinth in the BMW Austria. Good luck to you, Jonathan.
Hello, thank you.
26th, Bruno Chacon, Scuderia Bisceglie. 27th, Gerardo Bignano from Argentina. And rounding out the field, Timo Vermeersen, the Zoll Auto BMW. That is your grid of 28 cars. Angel May is watching on TV, and she is rooting for her man, Dave Miller. Everybody pulling up to the grid now, and note that they're starting in a 3-2-3-2 format. I wonder what impact that's going to have on the race.
Well, it'll certainly mean it's tight to get by anyone.
All right.
There's a wall in front of me and a wall in front of most people, I think.
All right, tense moments here. Waiting for the start of the race. Starter's orders have been given. Stand by. And the race is underway. Look at Grant Riddall get away. He had a beautiful, beautiful start. As we come down to the Tarzan corner, it looks like everybody's going to get through okay. I don't see anybody going off onto the grass. Canola has dropped down to third place, and Grant Riddall is in the lead. David Jakes is in second as they now head into the sand dunes. There they are, coming towards you. Grant Riddall, David Jakes, Thiago Canola. Brian Janik is up to fourth place. Here they come. Jakes, Canola, Janik, Team, Boss, Parker, Ray Riddall. Oh, we have one car off onto the grass. It's David Yunt. He's able to recover. A slight bobble there from Alberto. But so far, everyone seems to be in good trim and running well. Now coming through the treacherous Tunnel Oost, Grant Riddall, Jakes, Canola, Yannick. Goodness, these cars on the very, very edge of adhesion. Tunnel Oost is a very, very treacherous area, so we want to make sure everybody gets through okay. It looks like everyone will. And just that quickly, one lap is gone at Zandvoort. Grant Riddall leading, coming to the line. Oh, and we have, well, that's, it's not an overtake, but Jakes was having a bit of a look there as they come down to the hairpin. Tarzan for the first time. Steve Parker looking on the inside of Juha. David Saber looking for racing room. Here comes Jan Kowalski down the inside of Philippe Martinelli, and Philippe Martinelli has gone off. Oh, and Kowalski's off too. Goodness, and it looks like Remen as well. My goodness, and they're, oh man. Well, we figured that would be a potential thing that would happen. Everybody looking for an advantage coming to that hairpin. Coming down to the backside once again. Janik, Team, Juha Boss. There's a great scrap going on in the middle of the pack, that's for sure. Whited getting off onto the grass just a tiny bit. Vidra, Chapman, Magnano. Oh my goodness! Jan Kowalski onto the grass again, and he nearly collects. Oh my goodness. Or did he collect, might have collected Alberto Ibanez there, but he's off and running again. So now that the race has settled in, let's see if we can find some of the midfield action here, because there's quite a lot of it. Yeah, Jan Prusa is running right with Ray Riddall at this point. And he's got him perfectly placed here. Let's see if Jan is able to make an overtake attempt here. Looks like Ray might be running a lower wing. Jan pops out. Nah, he's too far back at this point. But goodness, you can see how close he came to David Saber's rear bumper there. And we have a yellow flag in the area. Not sure what that's all about. But certainly, I mean, as the tires get worn down, we're going to see more of this during the race. People running out of real estate. Jan is running 9th at the moment. Here's the view from inside his car. And you can see how they're just threading the needle through these corners. It's getting up really close now to Ray Riddall, whose son is still leading. David Jakes is in second, Thiago's third, Brian Janik fourth. John Team is fifth, Juha Boss sixth, Steve Parker seventh. So Steve's having a good race so far. Hopefully he'll last. Past few races he's had real difficulty. Oh, Jan goes onto the grass just a little bit, has to take a bit of a breather to recover. And that's going to open up a bit of a gap between himself and Ray Riddall. In fact, Jan is now going to come under attack from David Saber, but looking further back, here's a really cool scrap going on between Hlavik and Dave Miller. This is a battle for 12th place. Here comes Slavic. It's a battle for 11th, actually, as he goes on the inside of Dave, onto the curb, tries to hold the inside. Looks like he will probably get it done. They're still side by side, going into the backside of the course. Dave is not going to concede this. My goodness, good driving here from both of these men. But finally, Slavic is able to hang on to onto the spot, going into the Hockenheim hairpin. And Jason Whited is the $75 seat for that one. Looking back now from Hlavic's car in 11th place at Dave Miller. Oh, Jan Prusa has got up close with Ray Radal again here, but there's a big freight train of cars in front of him. This is a battle for 8th place. Jan is currently running in 9th. And look, you can see there, Steve Parker looking to get by Juha. On the inside, looks like he's going to get it done. Good overlap there over Juha. And Ray Radal now just behind Juha as well. Juha drops to 7th place, Steve up to 6th. Oh, Juha bobbles just a bit, but look at this. Oh my goodness, Jan Prusa on the inside takes Ray Radal. Kind of muscles his way down in there. Now they head to the backside of the course. Through the sand dunes. Jan's got decent spacing between himself and Ray Radal at this point. Although now Ray seems to be getting a bit of a charge here, coming through the Tunnel Oost section. We'll see if he can get the position back. I was talking with David Jakes prior to this race, and he pointed out that people are using very differing gear ratios throughout. So we may notice that some cars are a lot quicker through the twisty bits and others are quicker on a straight, and that may be down to either gear ratios, wing setting, or a combination of both. Ray Radal lining up Jan Prusa and clearly has a bit of a run here. I'm not sure why Jan's brake lights are coming on there, because he would. Oh my goodness, there's slight contact. Oh, no, the goal! Shoot, no! Over the fence. Well, actually back onto the track now, but my goodness, we're going to have to watch a replay of that one. Here's a replay of what just transpired. Ray Radal apparently overshooting the corner. And this isn't the first time we're going to see this. Well, we've seen it before, but it's probably not going to be the last. Pops out, tries to... Oh, he had a slight contact there with Jan Prusa. That might have preceded what happened here. Oh my goodness, they were both very lucky not to end up on the other side of the fence there, because if you do, that's it. Your race is done. I don't think there's any way you can re-enter the track from there. Ray still struggling to get back on track, but that is incredibly costly. He's all the way down to 23rd place now. My goodness. So things getting a bit dicey already in this race, and it's only 5 laps old. Here's Peter Slavic looking for a way around David Saber. You see Dave Miller just behind this group. This is a battle for 8th place as they now come down to the same corner we just saw the action in. Doesn't look like Peter has much of a run right now. Yeah, see, these cars are much more evenly matched compared to the other matchup we just saw where there was obviously a run. Saber. Oh, no! Saber loses control in the Tarzan corner, loses a couple of places, but's able to continue. Now Jason Whited wants to get a piece of this, but it looks as if Saber's now got his bearings back. My goodness, so there's lots of harem-scarum activity already in this race. So heading to the front here, to look at my goodness, Tiago apparently has had some kind of an incident. Let's look at a replay of this. What happened? Coming over the hill. Because it appeared that the live feed says he's in 8th now 9th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. So something has happened here. We'll see in the replay in a second. He runs off into, my goodness. It looks as if he might, oh my goodness, he's off in the dunes there. That's a ping issue. We can't really see what happened, but apparently he's out of the race. That's really unfortunate. So, I mean, that effectively, assuming that Grant is able to keep going. Oh, we have another car actually. It appears, Tiago is out of the race. It appears that we have another B&S Fabrications car in the pit lane itself. But in any case, Adam Hackman's also out of the race. That's unfortunate because he started in 4th place. Jan Prusa is out of the race, and Tiago. So those are 3 cars that are retired so far out of 28. So that means 25 are still running. David Jakes is in the lead. So he's been able to get around Grant Riddall while all this silliness was going on. The question's going to be, can he stay ahead? And if you're Grant Riddall, you're not really interested in necessarily winning. All you got to do is put some points on the board, and that'll be it. It's a good gap between David and Grant right now. About 9/10 of a second. And Brian Janik is now in 3rd place. Fantastic run for Janik. With John Team in 4th and Steve Parker in 5th. Looking further back, Yuha Boss is starting to come under attack from Peter. Like, oh my goodness! Somebody just went off the track there. It is Cesarius Lipinski, hay bales flying. And apparently he wasn't the only one who had an incident there. It looked as if somebody else was going off the track. Goodness. People have got to be careful because this track doesn't offer much in the way of runoff. It's hemmed in by fences around a lot of the way, so people are going to have to be careful. So Grant looks like he's starting to reel in David just slightly, and they're coming up now to lap Jonatan Acerclinth. So Jonathan, watch out for that. Jonathan's focusing on
as long as I find a gear.
Oh, it's a hard thing around here. The cars are not exactly geared properly for this. Coming down the straightaway now, and it looks like Grant has got David Jakes in his sights. He might try to overtake him here. Well, he's going to stay popped in because I think he saw Jonathan coming. Oh, there's another yellow flag here. Apparently, yes, Gerardo Magnano is against the fence, and he's looking for a space to back up. Oh, no, he's beached it. He's beached it on the... Well, okay, he got off the corner now, but now he's got to wait for just the right moment to back the car up and get back on the track. He doesn't want to back into somebody's path. And kudos to Gerardo for being considerate. Other drivers who have less presence of mind would just back into traffic and cause a huge accident. But he's not going to do that. So as much as he's losing time here, he's showing us that he's a gentleman. All right, so Grant is still shadowing David here. So let's remind everybody of the point situation here, because Grant right now is in 2nd place, which pays out 15 points. So if the race were to end now, we'd add 15 points to his 112 total, and that would give him 127 points. There's only 2 rounds to go after this, and since Tiago has retired, the best he could do is win 2 races. And that would bring his point total to 89. So you could effectively say, truthfully, with 2 rounds to go, actually, you know what this means? Grant Riddall is effectively the champion. Because he could not finish this race and not score any points. And the most that could be scored in the 8 and 9 rounds coming up for Tiago would be 20 points. Would be 20 points apiece, and that'd be Actually, hang on. That would bring him to... It's 40 points, so it would bring him to 109. So there you go. Best case scenario, Tiago could score 109. And even if Grant is out of the race today, that means that we are looking at the champion of Procar. That effectively seals it for Grant.
And I noticed as well while you were talking about that, Alberto Ibanez retired from the race. He was up in the last S corners.
My goodness. So the championship effectively is out the window at this point, but now we can focus our attention on the race itself, as Grant is shadowing David. I'm sure that Grant would love to cap off his championship with another win, and of course he's got 2 more races to come after this one.
They are setting a frantic pace at the front. That's immense lap times. No idea how they're doing that.
Meanwhile, it appears that Brian Janik has had an incident because he's dropped back to 5th place, and John Team is now 3rd. Janik is now sizing up Steve Parker, who is in 4th. As they come down to the Tarzan corner, we'll see what happens here. He's looking, but he figures, nah, I'm going to wait and see if I can find a better way around here. I mean, I think people are starting to get the message that dive bombing into Tarzan is probably not the best move necessarily. It's interesting. Like, I think a lot of people around here are going to be simply waiting for people to make a mistake. It's probably the best way to get around. So Janik loses a bit of time there to Steve, but he's still got him in his sights. The other thing that's going to come into play, obviously, after a bit here is tire wear. 12 laps, well, we're on the 12th lap right now, so just that quickly we're getting up to a point where it's going to be half distance, believe it or not. Take a look further back in the field, see what's going on. Here's Jason Whited running with David Saber. This is a battle for 9th place. Grant Riddall has just posted the fastest lap of the race so far, so he's clearly intent on winning if he can. Coming out of the final corner, and Dave Miller is just in front of this group. So they come down to the Tarzan corner. Uh-oh, brake smoke just ahead of this group. It's Dave Miller just ahead of David Saber. Dave is running in 8th, and then David Saber is running in... Oh, look out, David. Miller got under the grass a little bit there, but that's one place on the course where you can do that without too much trouble. Now exiting the Hugenholtz hairpin, heading down this short hill into the sand dunes. You see how they're having to feather the throttle through here just to maintain control of the car. But David also has to have eyes in the back of his head because he's got Jason Whited right behind him. And David Yutt is moving up the field here. He's driving a BS Fabrications car, B&S Fabrications. Lucas Vidra is running in 12th place. The last points being positioned is 10th, which would be Whited. But if there's more, if there are more incidents in the race, they might actually move up the order. We'll see. Oh, here comes Brian Janik looking for room. We've got another yellow flag in this corner, and it is Gerardo Mignano again in this corner.
He locked up in front of me and couldn't quite get control before he went off.
My goodness,
so.
He's spending more time in Tarzan corner than he'd probably like to. And Parker has caught up with John Team, so this is going to be a 3-car battle here for 3rd place in a second. Janik is doing a good job of shadowing the Canatra GT entry. Coming down to the backside now. John team having another fabulous run in these cars. Looks like Janik is placed really well, but this is kind of unfortunate because he's got a huge run on him, but there's only one line through the Tunnel Oost and these other corners, so you can't really pop out and pass anyone here. The best place to do so...
What you can do is stay very close and get a run out of the last corner.
Yeah, that's the obvious place to do it, but you've got to get a really good run and not do a dive bomb desperately into Tarzan. That's what you'd like to do, but look at this. Now, Janik is really well placed. Well, I guess it was that foreshortened shot, but look at that. Look, he is pulling on Steve here. So he's pulling out. He's going to make an attempt. No, he's just too far back. He doesn't have enough room. But these two are doing a really good job of racing clean. And, oh, goodness, here's Janik looking on the inside of the next series of corners. I don't think he's going to be able to get it done here. He runs under the curb, which is going to take some of his momentum away. Janik is right with him now. Fantastic scrap, these two. Two red cars with the red mist, for sure. Through this really fast left-right switchback. That one's just like maddeningly quick. Through the Tunnel Oost. He's right with him. Oh, Steve's having some trouble. Yeah, Steve. Oh, you're having an issue. I got to remember that you're not in the booth, but you're in a car.
Yeah, Bruno Chacon had a lost car in the last corner.
Oh, goodness! Brian Janik got a bit loose coming out of the final corner and had to back off, so that means that he's going to have to make up some time now. He's not nearly as close as he was before. David Jakes is still leading Grant Ridall by about a half of a second. So we're going to keep a close eye on that and see if Grant is able to retake the lead. He's right with him. And as we've mentioned, looking at the points, seeing as that Tiago Canola is out of the race, the most points that he can score at the end of the championship is 40, which would give him 109. So even if Grant Ridall doesn't finish today's race, that effectively makes him the Procar champion. Speaking of, Grant is shadowing. Oh, goodness, Grant runs onto the grass just a tiny bit there. Loses a bit of time in the process. So that gives David a little bit of breathing room. Jan Kowalski running just behind this group. My goodness! David Jakes runs to the inside. What happened there? His engine is gone.
Oh, not another one of his gear shifter troubles.
David Jakes has lost an engine and he's out of the race. That is such... I mean, my goodness. I guess he was one of these people that decided to go with shorter gears for better acceleration. But you see it just here, coming down the straightaway. He pulls to the inside and that's it. The engine has failed him. Right there, white smoke, new pope. That is so unfortunate. So now that puts Grant Ridall into the lead. And really, this has been the story of the series for David Jakes. It's just been one bad luck situation after another. If it hasn't been a disconnect, it's been an engine failure. Really unfortunate. And he's just dropping down the order.
Oh, dearie me, Dave Miller is out as well.
No! What happened?
I honestly don't know. I just noticed that he's in the
he's
garage.
20th now. He's been in the garage for a bit. Oh, geez, that's too bad. Because Dave had a really good run going. Sorry, Mrs. Dave. As you might guess, one of the challenges of being in the booth by myself today is that I can't cover every piece of action every minute. It's always better when you have another pair of eyeballs checking stuff out. So I am doing the absolute best I can, and I appreciate everyone's patience out there. Here's an interesting battle between Juha and Hlavik. Well, it's stretched out a little more than it looked on that telephoto shot. Meanwhile, Janik is still continuing his battle with Steve Parker. He's dropped back a little bit, but you can see just in front of this group that John Team, his position is about to come under threat from Steve Parker. This is actually closer than he is to Brian Janik. Looking back now from Steve's car as they head into the sand dune section on the backside of the course. Steve is doing a good job of feathering the throttle through here. John Team locking up the brakes. And remember, this is AMS, not R-Factor, so if you put a flat spot on these tires, it's not going to be a good situation for the rest of the race. We are past half distance. We are on lap 18 now out of 28. John Team, and you notice too how tall these curbs are. If you graze one of these, it can have a really adverse effect on the handling of the car. It can throw you back the opposite way, induce oversteer. So everybody's got to be careful about that. Yeah, so the retirement of David Jakes puts John Team into second place and Steve Parker into third. So this is a battle now for a podium spot between Brian Janik and Steve Parker as they now are in the Tarzan hairpin heading towards Hugenholtz. These guys are really using their tires for all they're worth. I wonder how drivable their cars will be in the last few laps of the race.
I've been looking after my tires and they are still already feeling a little bit pushy, so they'll have a handful.
Brian Janik still keeping Steve Parker in sight, but you see how skittish these cars are going through the... Oh my goodness! It appears John Team had a moment, and look at this. We got all three of them right together. This is potentially dangerous, especially coming through this section. Janik sees an opportunity, but my goodness, these guys are going to have to be careful as they got lap traffic coming up as well that they're going to have to contend with. Coming out of the final corner, this could prove decisive here. Steve Parker with Janik tucked right behind him. That is Francois Remen, I believe, and he's getting out of the way of the top three. Here comes Brian Janik looking on the inside, but he realizes that that's not a smart move. He doesn't have the room to get the job done, but these three running right together. Second, third, and fourth place in one frame. You could throw a blanket over these three. Fantastic scrap. Into the Hugenholtz hairpin. And now heading towards the backside of the course. And now Steve is right behind John Team. But of course he's also got this guy, Brian Janik, right behind him. Heading into the backside of the course past the Caltex banner there. And this is a very fast left-right that comes up here. They've got Jonatan Acerclinth just in front of him.
Yep, and I'm trying to get away until the front straight so I can just let all of them through.
God, Steve Parker's doing an excellent job keeping his car between the white lines on this course. It's so easy to go off on the grass. Goodness, you're just hoping that you're not going to make an error and go backwards here, but you have no place really to rest in this course.
Well, it's the front straight and that's it. So, about 12 seconds of the lap-ish.
Oh, and Janik is right with him now. We'll see if he's able to mount a challenge. But of course, this is the wrong place to do it. He loses a bit of time there. My goodness. You can hear the cars braking for the other hairpin as they come down the straightaway. There's a car that's just, is that you, Jonathan? That just,
Yep.
Yeah, let them by.
I didn't know Lavac was at the back of that, so sorry, Peter. That was indeed me trying to get out of the way. That certainly looks like a great scrap. Wish I
Oh
could
goodness! Now Janik is right with him. This is a good chance coming down the straight. He pulls out, looks to the left, but there's no room there. Steve has got that corner covered.
You ought to look for the cut up here at the very top of the hill.
Yep. Oh, that didn't sound good.
Ooh, dear.
Oh, Janik runs off the course, and Peter Hlavik has been catching this group as well, and Peter is in 5th. As they come out of the final corner. Now it appears that Brian's got to be looking in his rearview mirror. John Team is approaching Timo Vermeersch. My goodness. So what was going to be... Oh, goodness! Yeah, Peter Hlavik is definitely intent on advancing his position. Timo Vermeersch is getting out of the way. Good job on him. And that actually puts a car in between himself and Hlavik. Steve, that is. And Hlavik gets around him. Nothing against Timo there because there was nowhere to go. He basically let one car go. May not have been completely aware that Peter was there.
I couldn't see him, so I reckon Timo couldn't quite see him either.
Here comes
With that big line of cars.
John Team is coming up on Gerardo Mignano, who graciously gets out of the way.
I can tell you right now, the cars are getting very, very squirmy indeed.
Yeah, I'm quite sure of that because it's a situation now, I'm sure, where we're having tires, if not flat spotted, then very, very used up. Yeah, these cars are pretty much spread out at the moment in the top 3 and 4. We have another yellow flag down here at the corner. What's going on here? Oh, I don't see anybody. All right, so maybe it's just a older... Yeah, it's whatever it was is gone now. Okay, Steve Parker is right with John Team now. And they've got Jan Kowalski just ahead of them, so this could prove to be slightly awkward.
I believe Jan was the one who was the yellow flag.
Ah. John Team feathering the throttle here, looking for he's doing his very best to not upset the car too much, but he wants to be as quick as possible to stay ahead of Steve Parker. Through the tunnel oost. My goodness. Right on the ragged edge. Now into this very fast right-hand and then left-hand bend. Team takes a slightly wider line than Steve does. Coming into... Oh, goodness. It looks like Team is going to get balked slightly here by Jan Kowalski. This could be the break that Steve is looking for. Jan pulls to the right-hand side to get out of the way. Team was trying to get a bit of slipstream off of Jan there as a bit of an edge. But it doesn't look like... Oh, no, here comes Steve down the inside. Can he make it stick? He muscles his way onto the inside. Team is right there with him. He refuses to give it the... Oh, goodness, look at this. Brian Janik comes through. And there's an incident. John Team loses control. He's trying to go. Oh my goodness, he gets hit by Timo Vermeers. Oh no! They're both in the center of the track. David Yunt has to take evasive action in order to stay in the track. My goodness, let's take a look at a replay of this. Perhaps what we could say about this is Steve may have been a bit optimistic coming down the inside. John Team there looks like he threw a little bit of he at least was defensive coming in. He turned in very early for the corner. Bit of defensive driving there, maybe a bit too defensive. But then, of course, you can also perhaps say that Steve was a bit ambitious with that dive down the inside. He clearly wasn't alongside of John yet. But they come into the corner.
Another problem right there is that there's a lot of marbles on the track. So
That's true too. That's true too. And then John gets all crossed up, goes back into the grass, comes back on. Can't keep the tires where they need to be and gets struck by Timo Vermeers. Both of them were very lucky to not be collected by David Yunt. So, and John Team is out of the race. So what was an incredible podium performance has just gone up in smoke. That's really, really too bad for John. Very, very rotten luck. That elevates Mick Chapman actually into 10th place, and he's going to be in a position to grab the last point. Lucas Vidra is up into 9th place. He's having continued good success in this series. White at 8th. David Sabers in 7th. Juha Boss is 6th. 5th is David Yunt, so even though he almost got taken out by 2 cars, he's in the top 5, so good result for him. But here, after that incident, Peter Hlavik is now right up close with Brian Janik. And you can see from the front of Peter's car that he's had a bit of a skirmish somewhere with somebody. He's got dents in the very front, so we'll see what's going to happen now. Coming onto the main straight now. Just 2 laps to go now in this race. It's amazing how fast this has gone by. We're not even into 45 minutes. There's it appears that's in his home race. That was Francois Remen going for the pits again. So I don't know if that was to get out of the way. Coming onto the backside of the course now. The rest of these cars are all spread out pretty good towards the back. It appears that Chapman might come under attack from. Well, no, that's not for position, unfortunately.
Well, depending on what Kowalski does, then maybe a bit for 16th.
Oh, there's a car spun out. It was one of the B&S Fabrications cars, but Grant was able to avoid it. So just like I said in the opening, I mean, just because you're leading doesn't mean that your luck is going to be good. So here we are now, coming down to start the final lap of this race. And who would have thunk it? This guy looks like he's going to win another one. As they come into... there was a yellow flag there once again coming into Tarzan, but it does not appear that there's an issue at the moment. Grant still leading on his final lap. Here comes the rest of these cars, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Steve Parker looks on the inside. Oh, but that's not a pass for position. That was Philippe Martinelli getting out of the way. Brian Janik is in 3rd place, stalking, and Peter Hlavik in 4th. So you have 2nd, 3rd, and 4th running together. David Yunt is in 5th. Juha Boss 6th. David Saber 7th. Whitehead is in 8th. And Lucas Vidra 9th. Chapman closing on him in 10th. We'll see if he can make a bid before the lap is over. Hlavik looking for a way to get by Brian Janik, but it does not appear that it's going to happen. Grant Riddall coming through the Tunnel Oost. And eventually he will be at the start-finish line and will rack up yet another Pro Car win, and he will be, as we've already said, he's going to be the champion of the Procar Series. Coming off the final corner, it's been a dominating performance from Grant, both in this race and in the series at large. Clearly, it's true that he did benefit from the unfortunate demise of some of his what's the word I'm looking for? People who were racing against him, competitors. But here he is, Grant Riddall, and he is the 1980 Procar champion for HSO. Congratulations to Grant. There he is on your screen, and his proud dad is right behind him. That's such a fitting way to end this race, is to have Ray right with Grant in the same frame. That's a great shot right there. Congratulations to Grant. 2 more races to go, but the championship has effectively been decided. And I was talking about this. Yeah, oh, look at that. That's great. Ray pulls up alongside his son, congratulating him. Fantastic. A very proud moment for the Riddall family, no question. It's interesting. I was talking with Alberto before about this series and how it's supposed to promote parity and give equal chance to everybody. But if anything, it's proved that Grant is one of the most talented drivers that we have in this league. And of course, the race, the year is just barely half over for HSO. We've got Indianapolis coming up. It's going to be a very eventful several weeks coming up here. And here comes Grant down to the. He's going to do donuts now, most likely. Yep, there he goes. Celebration ensues for Grant Riddall, the 1980 Procar champion.
Understandably so.
Yes. These cars are not easy to drive at all.
They may not be easy, but he's mastered them beautifully.
So that was round 7 of the Procar Series. We're going to wait to see if anybody wants to come into the booth after things have calmed down a bit. Lots of crazy action going on in the track, Jonathan. Do you think a lot of that was down to just the cars? I mean, it's certainly some people I think were a bit ambitious with some of their passing. But on the other hand, it's a short race, and if you see an opportunity, you got to go for it, right?
Well, with the little bit I ran in traffic, the cars behaved very erratically, so any move may not have been completely their own will, so to speak, but certainly one of those where if you see a slight mistake, you need to try and go for it, because it's so difficult to find a place to pass around here.
That's certainly true. Let's take a moment while we're waiting for anybody to jump in the green room to remind you of what's coming up at HSO. Next week we have the Grand Prix of Argentina. I'll call it that. That probably works better for me. Third round of the Gold Star Championship. It'll be an aggregate of 2 50-lap events, 2 heats. So that's going to be an interesting race, and it's on the short course at Buenos Aires, so it's not the long, super fast one. So it's a lot of switchbacks and tight chicanes. And with these cars, that means there's going to be a lot of sliding. So it should be interesting to compete in for sure. Then we have the Pro Cars back at Hockenheim. This is the makeup race on May 5th. Cinco de Mayo. And then Indianapolis 500 time trials will be on May 12th with yours truly calling the action. Should be really, really exciting. One of our favorite broadcasts to do all year long. So any closing thoughts from you, Jonathan, before we end the broadcast?
That was definitely one of the most tricky races I've partaken in. In terms of the race, it sounded like it was great fun. In terms of next weekend, it's sure to be a blast to be going around the Argentinian track again in a slightly different version than what we did back when we used last time, which I think was 78 F1 2 years ago. And yeah, hopefully we'll have a great month of May and a lot of good action.
All right, well, it doesn't appear that anybody wants to go into the green room, so we're going to close out this broadcast. Thank you very much, Jonathan, for providing your expertise while you were driving. I know that's not easy to do. We appreciate it very much.
Did my best.
And have a good rest of your Sunday. And to all of you out there, also happy Easter. Enjoy your Sunday. Quite an exciting race this was. A lot to keep track of, as I expected. So Grant Riddall wins the race, and in doing so also wraps up the Procar Championship. We'll see you next Sunday here at HSO. Hopefully we'll be in the air, but if not, we'll definitely see you for Procar racing at Hockenheim the following week. So long, everybody.